dive into this really beautiful little story called The Wonderlands Connection. Now, it reads just like a modern fable, and, by unpacking its themes, we can uncover some seriously powerful insights about how we see the world and how technology can actually change our perception of it. And this quote right here, this is the heart of the whole thing. It's the idea that there's more to reality than what we see on the surface. It's asking a really simple question, right? Are we just looking at things, or are we truly seeing them? Let's hold on to that idea as we go.
So, where does this story kick off? Well, it starts in a place that, yeah, it might feel pretty familiar to a lot of us.
So we meet our protagonist, Arlo, and he's in this dim attic. The story says his world just feels gray. And this isn't really about color. It's a feeling. It's that monotony of the same old schedule, day after day, constantly looking at screens. It's this deep sense of disconnection from the vibrant living world that's right outside.
And then we meet Cypher, Arlo's robotic sidekick. Now, Cypher sees the world purely through data and sensors, so it does a quick scan, and its logical conclusion? Status 98% ordinary. I mean, that just perfectly captures a worldview that's only data-driven, right? It can measure everything, but it understands absolutely none of the magic.
But that ordinary world is about to get completely flipped on its head by one totally unexpected discovery.
Tucked away in an old trunk, Arlo finds this thing called the Wonderlens. And it's so easy to just look at it as a piece of cool tech, but it's really much more than that. It's a metaphor for any tool that gives us a new perspective. Learning something new, a shift in mindset, or maybe just the simple act of paying closer attention.
And this is where everything changes. With this new lens, Arlo basically steps out of his gray, predictable world and into something else entirely. Which brings us to the big question the story is really asking us, not just Arlo. What actually happens when you decide to change the lens you're looking through? When you consciously see the world in a new way?
Wow. So the first reveal is just breathtaking. Arlo looks through a screen that's connected to the lens, and suddenly the empty air is alive with these swirling currents of violet and gold. This just perfectly shows what the lens does. It doesn't create anything new, it just reveals what was already there all along, making an invisible force like the wind totally visible and, well, beautiful. Now that the lens is activated, the story just starts systematically breaking down Cypher's so-called ordinary world, showing us all the extraordinary pieces one by one. And this comparison is just so powerful, isn't it? On the left, you've got the gray world where Arlo started, and on the right, what was waiting just outside the whole time. The story is showing us that the ordinary and the extraordinary can be the exact same place. It all just depends on how you're looking at it. So they step out into the garden. To our eyes, it's just, grass and plants. But through the lens, every single plant has this vibrant green pulse. A little rosebud is humming with what the story calls a low musical vibration. All of a sudden, biology isn't just some abstract concept anymore. It's something you can feel, something you can hear. It's the sound of life itself. Then they turn their attention to the great oak. And this quote, it just reframes everything. The tree isn't just a static object anymore. It's a glowing skyscraper of information, a giant natural internet connecting all the life in the forest. It's just a beautiful way to think about how deeply interconnected everything in nature really is. Even something as simple and common as rain gets completely transformed. Through the Wonderlens, every single drop becomes a tiny crystalline prism with a little miniature rainbow trapped inside. This is where you see the incredible beauty that's hiding in the simplest, most overlooked moments of our day. But just seeing all this wonder, well, that's not the end of the journey. Now the story shifts focus from the world outside to the transformation happening inside our characters. Just look at Cypher. This is the same logical robot that said the world was 98% ordinary, and now it's dancing in the rain. So what changed? The lens synced its auditory and visual sensors together. The raw data of rain hitting leaves got reinterpreted. It wasn't just noise anymore, it was a symphony. Yeah, this slide just breaks down Cypher's upgrade perfectly. Before, you had data coming in, it was processed with pure logic, and the output was ordinary. But with the Wonderlens, the processing becomes about synthesis, about putting different kinds of data together to create meaning. And now the output isn't a statistic, it's an experience, a symphony, a dance, a feeling, The lens basically gave it the ability to appreciate the world.
And this brings us to what might be the most important lesson in the whole story. The next morning, Arlo doesn't even think about a tablet. He and Cypher just walk into the woods with the Wonder Lens tucked away safely in a pocket. They don't need it anymore. See, the tool served its purpose. It was never meant to be used forever. It was meant to permanently change how they see. That new perspective is now just a part of who they are.
And that, of course, brings us to the final question for ourselves. This story is a fable about perception, and it kind of challenges us to ask, what could our own Wonder Lens be? Is it learning something new, practicing mindfulness, making art? Or is it as simple as putting our screens down and just truly looking around? Because the magic, as the story suggests, is always there. We just need the right eyes to see it.